In this video, I will talk about creating case classification in NVivo Mac. In order to talk about it, I would first like to discuss a little bit what is a classification sheet.
Classification sheets. A classification sheets contain descriptive information about the files or cases in your project. You can have file classification or case classification. So file classification talks about the information of the files, for example, journal articles, and attributes, etc., like author, publication, whereas case classification talk about interview participants' age or education level, etc. So according to NVivo 12 Mac official QSR international website, this is the way to import case classification. We can import case classification in two ways, either in a structured text file, which should be saved in a .txt format, or a CSV file, which means an Excel sheet, which is saved in .csv format with UTF-8 encoding, and we would practice it. Similarly, this is the way to import. These are the simple steps which if you follow, you can import it, and then export a classification sheet once you are done with it in NVivo. So I am here in NVivo Mac furthering NVivo sample project, and I have interview files, which are 4 of them. I can also see that there are no cases and also no case classification. Now, in order to import files, I need to have these Barbara, Charles, Dorothy, Margaret written. So if I go to Excel sheet and I would need this data to be in the correct order in here. As we know that NVivo Mac only could read a .csv format, so let's convert it into .csv format. So save as, and then we want to save it on desktop. It is in Excel workbook.xls, and then we can import it as CSV UTF-8 and save it like this. Okay, so because it has multiple sheets, it cannot be saved as that file in that file format. It needs to be one sheet. So here I have opened a new file, and let's copy and paste it. So for example, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then copy and then save it on. We can now make sure that we have just one tab instead of like 3 tabs instead of metadata and things. So let's close this, and this one I would open it, save as, and then I would save it as CSV, and then save it. So now I have that saved as book 1. Let's see, we have book1.csv on our desktop. So now I will go to my Mac project. So we have NVivo Mac furthering sample project open in front of us. We have all the files here. We can see that there are no cases here and no case classification. And also, if we right click on it, we cannot find any kind of classification attached to it. So if we now want to bring our classification sheet, we would go to data and we would go to, but before that, we need to make these into cases. So let's create them as cases. Sorry. So we can see that all 4 of them are here as cases. Now we would go to data and then we would go to, sorry, classification sheet, and we would import book1.csv and open it. Now it's asking us whether we want which kind of classification. So because we want case classification, make sure that you change it to case classification. I would like to give it a name, person 1, and then would create new attributes if they do not exist, update the classification of existing file or cases, and replace attribute values of existing files or cases that appear in the imported file. Let's click all of them, and then let's click next and create new cases if they do not exist. Make sure that if you want, you can do that. You can also, okay, if you cannot do that, so click on import. I don't know why they created another case for Margaret, whereas the rest were already updated. This is Margaret already, but this is another Margaret, and we can always delete it by right click and delete. So let's see now. We have the attribute values of all these cases now, and we have the classification sheet as well. And we can see it's Barbara, Charles, Dorothy. Because I deleted Margaret, Margaret is not in the list, so we can right click and select this Margaret to parcel 1, and now she is linked and she appeared here. Now, because in all these respondents and return date, it is already filled for us. For here, I can click on the magnifier glass and then select, for example, she is DE004. So let's click her this one, and here I can assign her any of these. So for example, let's say 16 and anything else here as well. I can also add something new, like, so for example, bad, like this is good, so it's bad. So, and that would stay here. So that's how you create classification sheet in NVivo Mac.